Hey look, it's another cat video on YouTube. Just kidding, this is a modern tribal deck. Gotcha. Welcome back guys, this is my modern tribal series deck based in white this time. It's a white-green deck that's all about the kitty cats. Something that I'm actually not quite familiar with because I'm allergic to cats and I try not to spend any time with them because if I do, then I start to feel the pain in my sinus, which, uh, yeah, real bad. I start to cry and I can't breathe, great stuff. Anyways, that's why I decided to make, well, that's not why, but I decided to make a cat deck because I think cats are underrated. There's so many strong cats out there that I decided that's probably like why not? I mean, we also have access to Collected Company, which I'll talk about in a second. Honor of the Pure, all the cats are white, and of course a Johnny. He's a big cat. Um, we'll get to all of that in a moment, but first let's let's talk about the creatures. So adaptive automaton. Since there is no cat lord necessarily, which says all other cats you control get +1/+1. We have to play with the automaton, which is unfortunate because um, it's it gives +1/+1 to all your tribal creatures, but a lot of lords like a Scion of Una, that gives all your fairies Shroud, or Goblin King gives all your goblins Mountain Walk, or Lord of Atlantis gives all your Merfolk Island Walk, etc., etc. Stuff like that. So unfortunately, this lore doesn't give any other benefits other than just the +1/+1, but I think it's still pretty necessary because in this deck you are trying to go a little wide, get a bunch of different threats out, and then swing in for game. It's a fairly aggressive kind of play. So next we've got Brimaz, King of Oreskos. He is a 3/4 for 1 and 2 white, and he's got Vigilance, which is really cool because his other two abilities want you to attack and block with him, and the Vigilance really lets you do that. So when he attacks or blocks, you get a 1/1 white cat soldier with Vigilance, so the cat soldiers have Vigilance as well, onto the battlefield that is also attacking or blocking. So this is really nice because you can, when you're blocking with him, effectively he gets +1/+1 from the cat that is also blocking because it blocks the same creature that he's blocking. And if you have an automaton out, instead of just effectively getting +1/+1, he's effectively getting +2/+2 because it's 1/1 for the cat and 1/1 for himself. So very, very good synergy with the automaton. He is the guy that lets you go wide in this deck. You just keep making guys on guys on guys on guys, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And plus, I love this card. I remember when it was in standard, it was like $30 to $50 at one point. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, this card's so good!" But then nobody really kind of figured out where he belonged in the meta, and so he fell out of favor. But I still really like this card. This is more honestly, this is like a lion deck rather than a cat deck. They're all lions, but lion is not a creature type. They're all cats. So next we've got Fleecemane Lion. He's a 3/3 for 2, already great stats, by the way. Because green-white is not a problem for this deck at all. But also, this card draws a lot of hate from their removal. This is the kind of card that you play out and they want to get rid of as soon as possible, because as soon as you hit 5 mana, you can tap 5 mana and do his Monstrosity for 1. Which means that he gets a +1/+1 counter. That's where the 1 comes from, and he becomes "quote unquote" monstrous, meaning you just can't do the monstrosity again. So you can't just keep pumping him up forever with the monstrosity. But he also says that when he is monstrous, he's got hexproof and indestructible. So then you have a 4/4 hexproof indestructible creature that is getting pumped up by your automaton and your honor for the pure, and just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's very, very hard for them to deal with. Especially the indestructible, you can just block their Tarmogoyf over and over and over again, even if it's bigger than your guy. Which it surprisingly can very easily not be. That was really stupidly worded, but I hope you got what I meant. Next, we've got our Loam Lion. So this guy gets +1/+2 as long as you control a forest, which is also not a problem at all. You'll be searching out temple gardens, which are plains forests, or canopy vistas, which are also plains forests. Now this guy is very similar to Wild Nicottle, which is a green, 1/1/1 that gets +1/+1 for each forest, and +1/+1 for not for each. +1/+1 if you control a forest, or if you control a plains, and +1/+1 if you control a mountain. So he becomes a 3/3. Now, unfortunately, we can't play him in this deck because we're not playing red, and we don't want mountains in the deck. So it would effectively just be a 2/2, but it's also a green drop 1/1, which is actually a little bit harder than a getting a forest is not too hard, but getting a forest on turn 1 might be a little bit more difficult. Anyways, this guy does die to lightning bolt, but as soon as you get out anything, he's golden. He's good. He's Gucci. Next, we've got the Qasali Ambusher. Now, I think this is probably my favorite card in the deck. Hence the whatever the fuck that is. The art. Yeah, art's the word I was looking for. Now, this is a 2/3 reach. I don't know. I guess it's jumping around in the trees. That's why it's got reach. I'm unsure about the flavor. But if you have a forest and a plains in play, and a creature is attacking you, you can put this guy down for free as though it had flash. Now, you don't have to block with it as long as they're just attacking you with anything. So if you turn 1, pop down, or if you turn 1, play a fetch land like a Windswept Heath and pass, and they turn 1 play a Goblin Guide and then swing, you can crack the fetch land in response to and bring in a Temple Garden. Now you have a plains and a forest, and then you flash this guy in and kill their Goblin Guide. It's wonderful. It's great. I love this card. This is a great card. And then even if you don't want to block, you can still get this guy into play for free. More cats, more better. That's what I always say. Finally, on our creatures list, we've got Qasali Pridemage, another green-white for a 2/2, as opposed to a 3/3. And he has Exalted, which says whenever a creature you control attacks alone, that creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Now this card is great and used in a lot of decks, mainly because of the second ability, which says you tap 1 colorless, you sacrifice Qasali Pridemage, and you destroy target artifact or enchantment. So this is built-in enchantment removal for the twin matchup, and built-in artifact removal for the affinity matchup. Although, I mean, it is very good against affinity because you can kill their cranial plating or what have you. Anyways, the Exalted is also really cool if you end up using it, but it doesn't really work with. No, it does. It does work with Brimaz. So Brimaz is attacking. Yeah. So you declare Brimaz is attacking, and then he gets the +1/+1, and then you get another creature that attacks with him. So it still works with Brimaz if you're only attacking with Brimaz. That's pretty cool. I didn't think about that until just now. I mean, I knew that from before. You can't prove me wrong. So in our lands, we have 8 fetch lands and some Razorverge thickets. But the main thing is that we're running 2 Canopy Vista. Now, these are the Zendikar battle lands, or Tango lands, or fuck you lands, whatever you want to call them. These are only in here because we care so much about having forests and plains in play. So cards like Loam Lion care, and Qasali Ambusher, they both care, and it matters enough to where I thought 2 Canopy Vista was okay. I don't know. I haven't played this with paper yet, so I don't know for sure how this runs. If the vistas might be too slow, but regardless, I thought it was necessary having 6 different forest plains in the deck to grab. Also, if you play a plains on turn 1, plains on turn 2, then these are effectively better than the Shocklands. So, it's whatever. It's a little splashy fun card. Let's move over to the instants. So we got Brave the Elements. It's a 1-drop instant that you choose a color, and then white creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. Now this protects every single one of your creatures except for the automaton, which is unfortunate, but it still protects like 90% of your creatures. Collected Company is great in this deck. I might even go up to 4 and go down on Brave the Elements, depending on what the local meta is, because this card hits every single one of the creatures, and then suddenly flooding the board with a bunch of cats, especially if you have an automaton out or an Honor of the Pure, they all get huge. They all get massive, and then in instant speed, you can have 2 more creatures like an automaton and a Brimaz suddenly, and then he makes the Brimaz makes a token. It's ridiculous. I don't have to explain to you why Collected Company is good, even though I just spent the time explaining to you why. Anyways, Path of Exile. This is a great card. This is one of those cards, and I'm saying this for every single color, but this is the 1-drop in white that you should be playing 4 of if you're playing white. For blue, that's Serum Visions. For black, that's Thoughtseize. For red, that's Lightning Bolt. For green, I guess Birds of Paradise for green. But regardless, this is a great card, and this will save you from those combo decks that just combo out, or save you from that Primeval Titan that's swinging at you. Great card, very necessary for the deck. We've got 4 enchantments here. Well, 1 4 of enchantment, which is Honor of the Pure. White creatures you control get +1/+1. Great, fantastic. 90% of my creatures are white, and the other percentage also does the same thing. So, great card. Fantastic art. I never really looked at that. They have a really shiny armor. Wow, that is so shiny. Anyways, finally we've got the 2 copies of Ajani, Caller of the Pride. Now he's really in here because of flavor reasons. He's a big ass cat, and who didn't like big ass cats? Big ass dogs. Wait, scratch that. Tiny ass dogs don't like big ass cats. I've exhausted this joke. Anyways, so he's a 3-drop planeswalker. Great deal, great value. His +1 puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Good. I don't know if I'd pay 1 for that, but it is repeatable, and he is a planeswalker. But his minus is the game changer, because it gives target creature flying, double strike. Yeah, flying and double strike until end of turn. I mean, that right there, if you have enough pump out and you have a big creature, you're just having trouble getting through their defenses, or you don't want to swing out and then leave yourself open, this can end the game. Like, straight up end the game. It's great. His ultimate is kind of irrelevant. You're probably never going to do that, but you put X 2/2 white cat tokens into play, where X is your life total. So if you do kind of grind it out and get to that end game, and you ultimate him, it will be explosive. Not only are they white creatures, but they're also still cats, so it just benefits everything, absolutely everything. It's just you just win. I mean, unless they've got a board wipe, or some token killer, or an infinite combo, or anyways, I do really like this deck. It feels good. I'd really like to play it in paper to actually feel out the deck. I feel like there are some changes that you could do. You might up the number of collected companies. I don't know how effective that might be. You might change the number of lands, what have you. You might even just take out the automatons completely and add in some other cat that might, or white creature, because at that point then it's not really cat tribal. You're just white tribal. But I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty good baseline, a pretty good template for a nice zoo deck. and this is really zoo in all sense. You know, you got all your lions and such. But yeah, that's my white tribal deck. I hope you liked it, and if you did, hit that thumbs up, and if you didn't like it, tell me in the comments below and hit that thumbs up anyways. But subscribe for more content. There's going to be more modern tribal decks coming out, and oh, I did want to mention one thing. You guys might have been wondering why I don't do sideboard, and I feel like I might have talked about this before. But sideboard is really dependent on your local meta, and unless you're aiming to go to like a GP um, or you know, like if as long as you're not taking this to a big event, a huge event, your local meta is very, very different, or can be very, very different than what the nationwide meta is. And so until you play a bunch of games within your local area, you're not going to know what the meta is, and you're not going to know what you want to sideboard. And I feel like if someone is taking ideas from a deck online, they're a lot more likely to just copy the sideboard, because that's probably one of the hardest things to think about. So I encourage you as a deck builder to kind of feel out the meta. Now, if you have any questions about what are good sideboard cards, just in general, you know, feel free to comment below, and I got you back. I did the little like finger gun thing at the screen, but obviously, anyways, we'll see you next times, and oh god, thanks for watching.